All Lives Matter, Trump 2024. Here's some interesting video from around the world of what's really going on in other countries and how they're standing up. We need to all stand up for what we believe in. We don't stand alone. There's an entire planet behind us. It's true. There's a lot of support.
Vaccinated. You can show a recent negative test, or you can show prior infection. For the past 6 weeks, thousands of Swiss citizens have taken to the streets to protest the mandates, while police have shot off water cannons and rubber bullets. Amsterdam has seen widespread protests, with people carrying signs that read, "QR is going too far" and "Unvaccinated lives matter." Reports say some protesters were even displaying faux gallows. The Netherlands has implemented a COVID pass that restricts Dutch citizens from entering restaurants, bars, and other select indoor spaces unless they show their pass. And the Dutch government was going to require the pass for even outdoor dining terraces, but the pushback over the past couple of months has caused them to scrap those plans. Israel sparked widespread protest after the country announced their third booster shot is required for their green pass to be valid. In order to be considered fully vaccinated and allowed into most indoor venues, Israelis must show proof of 3 shots or show proof of 2 doses within the past 6 months. Once 6 months have passed from the second dose, a person must get the third or their pass becomes inactivated. France has been seeing nonstop protests for some time now, even before COVID, when Yellow Vests took to the streets every weekend for months on end. Now the protests are over vaccine mandates, which require people to show a COVID passport to enter any restaurants, cafes, other indoor venues, and even ride public transportation. Luxembourg citizens protested their version of a COVID pass in what they called a marche blanche, where protesters were dressed in all white, carrying white balloons. The new mandate, which takes effect November 1st, excludes the ability to test negative using a low-cost at-home test. Instead, citizens will be required to show either proof of vaccination or get tested professionally at a facility. And the pass is necessary to enter any indoor venues, such as restaurants and bars. Thousands of Greek citizens have been taken to the streets for the past few months to protest the country's COVID passports and mandates. Some healthcare workers are required by law to be vaccinated, and Greek citizens who are fully vaccinated are issued freedom passports, which allow them unrestricted access to anywhere they want to go. The Minister of Health said the goal was to protect the vaccinated, but also to protect the unvaccinated, who are much more at risk. Romanians have also been protesting against COVID passports. Thousands of people took to the streets in a massive display with signs that read, "Freedom without certificates." Slovenians were met with water cannons during their protests. Thousands of people are angry over their country's vaccine passports to enjoy a normal life. And Australia is a whole other story. I could do an entire segment on just what's been happening there. But the long and short of it in regards to protests is people are not only targeted with water cannons and rubber bullets, but their police are actually beating them with batons, and they're being met with other violence. It's quite insane what's going on in Australia right now. But here in the United States, leave it to the New Yorkers to express their outrage. The city implemented a strict digital COVID passport system for those fully vaccinated and for those who have tested negative. Unlike the countries in Europe, New York City will not accept proof of previous infection. People need to show the digital pass in order to enjoy the, quote, spoils of the city, as Mayor Bill de Blasio put it. Essentially, if you want to enjoy any entertainment or dining in the city, you need to show the pass. So it's really interesting, all of these protests that have been going on around the world. We haven't really seen these in the news much, but I mean, they are massive. We are talking in some countries, hundreds of thousands of people marching in the streets to protest either the mandates or the passports of some kind. So, I mean, it's just been an overwhelming showing. And it's interesting how here in the U.S., we're really only seeing a massive showing in New York City. We've seen smaller protests, like Olympia, Washington had a little protest. Even here in Los Angeles, there's maybe one little one outside of the mayor's house. But for the most part, the U.S. hasn't seen these huge uprisings like what's been going on in Europe, besides New York City. I mean, why do you think that is?